Alright guys, so we're now at the final table. I was worried that the single review might be a little dry, so I decided to run a few tables at the bottom, including the 320 Wednesday and a few. Payouts of this tournament pretty steep. If I recall, it's like 24,000 to first and maybe like 2K to ninth or something. We're in like a really good position to win it. We're in third place behind PokerFan and Centipede. We have Lucksack on a short stack, good regular. Revenge was in the first video. Pro Grey was in the first video. They both seem to play pretty well. And I think I recognize Make It Rain and Roosie's names as well. So I'm just going to call back to the stats when we actually need them. But generally just almost even try and ignore them until they're actually needed. So yeah. Okay, and we're looking for, big spots and stuff where people get involved and might even bust out. So there's gonna be standard. Ace Jack's gonna make a. I think this raise call is fine. Seems good to me. You don't want to push, it too wide when you're playing in ICM loaded tables, but I still think this call is fine. And Lucksack's gonna double, which is not good for our chances of, winning the tournament outright. Centipede limps here. This isn't 2013, so this was before I think people, had like cohesive, small blind limping strategies. So, I still think raising is fine. I actually think this limp is pretty weak, with no history or anything. So I think raising here is probably optimal, but I'm gonna guess I checked. And yeah, I mean, we have like a backdoor. We have like a pretty good backdoor draw here, given that nines, jacks give us gut shots, spades give us spades. His range is pretty weak, but I don't mind folding here. And yeah, I would have liked to see a raise pre. I think this is a 3-bet call. If you recall in the first video, we were 3-betting this guy quite a bit, and he was folding a good bit. So I think this is a 3-bet call. As for sizing, I think sizing can be a little bigger. I generally tend to size my 3-bets larger than I did back then. So yeah, but the sizing is good because it gives him room to 4-bet fold. So yeah, clear open, clear fold. And yeah, it looks like we visually have 9 players, so I'll just keep my eye out for people busting, I guess. Centipede opens here. His ranges aren't like that attackable. I don't expect them to be super loose. Given that though, this is still like one of the best hands to 3-bet. I mean, it's not really one of the best hands to 3-bet because we don't have the best blockers, but it's like theoretically a good spot to 3-bet because this is like, one of those hands that we would really like to play, but we might not be able to. So this isn't like a bad spot. And also, in spots like these, you want to be mindful of having a hand that has good equity versus a 4-bet. Because generally when you 3-bet him here, and someone 4-bets like 20 big blinds or something, you're gonna like, sometimes be priced into call. So yeah, I wouldn't have minded seeing us take a shot at him here. And I mean, him showing out Queen 10 suited, to me shows that yeah, he is opening, legitimate ranges. This guy here decided to lead flop with Ace 5 offsuit. So even though his stats look like a taggish regular, like 24-21 or whatever, I would guess he's generally like pretty fishy because that was a pretty terrible play. I think Ace 5 off here is a clear fold. With the big stack on the button and stuff like that. I think we can definitely fold 6-9 off here versus a good player. I tend to like over defend spots nowadays, and I think based on like a lot of final table replays and stuff I've seen from other people, like they tend to just fold these spots Even the players who kind of surprise me, like Cal and like just kind of loose defenders, tend to kind of fold these spots. Some don't though, and so I'm kind of torn. I'm not really sure like you know necessarily if this is a good fold or not. I also don't mind turning it into a 3-bet. In this sample here, Luxac has folded 6 out of 7 times to 3-bets and is opening like 40 to 50% from this position. I don't think we know each other, or like we at least know of each other's games and stuff. I don't think he's really necessarily looking to take shots like super light here. I'm very comfortable like scaling his steal percentage down even by like half. So I think there's merit here to calling and to 3-bet folding and even to folding, I guess. I guess I folded. It's just a clear jam, blind versus blind. I think 3-betting here is okay again if you want to kind of push it. And I think calling here is okay as well. So yeah, guess I decided to just fold. There's a clear open on the button. These two are going to play a pot where... So when Centipede calls his flop and checks back turn, I think he has a pair like tens a lot. He could also easily have like Queen Jack plus, and although ranges are going to be slightly tighter because it's the final table, so his range here for checking back is like probably something like sixes plus depending on what pairs he flats here, and then Queen 10 suited plus, and then like I'm guessing he flats like King Queen offsuit and doesn't flat Queen Jack offsuit. So his range is pretty defined here, and it's very vulnerable to a check raise because of how defined it is. So I like him checking back with like almost all of his range, and then you can split your betting range into really strong hands, and I think King Queen offsuit might classify as a really strong hand in that spot, along with draws like if you were floating like 10 Jack of Hearts or something, which I don't think most people would do at a final table. So when poker, bets here, like bet check bets, I think these two have very similar ranges in the spot, so it's kind of interesting. It's like kind of harmonious. I think both of them have like very similar range strength in this spot. And I do not think ace king counts, and I think that was a pretty poor bet call there. And I also think Centipede should be 3-betting pre here for sure. In my review of looking over like final tables with the whole cards up, it's really important to put pressure on people because people just like overfold and stuff in spots. I like this fold with threes. We have no blockers, no post-flop playability, no ability to continue versus 3-bets from all the short stacks and the big stacks. So it looks like a clear fold to me. This is an okay open spot, but I'm fine with folding here as well. I guess I did go for it. I like how every time I say that I would fold now, I get kind of punished, and that's kind of a continuation of the video before. So that makes me a little happy, I guess. I'm a Luxac folds to 3-bet. I was about to say insta folds to 3-bet, but I don't have any of the timing. So I decided to limp this button. Not a huge fan of this play. I think this is a clear raise fold. I mean, this would actually be like close to a profitable shove on the button. So I think since it's kind of at the bottom of our range, like maybe we jam Queen Jack on the button here, and maybe we shove Queen 10 as well. But yeah, this is I'm pretty sure it is a profitable shove. So I think limping it and raise fold. I mean, raise folding's okay, I guess, but yeah. Okay, we open here. Poker fan GR 3-bets us. He's repping good strength from the big blind, but the way people play these final tables, like they're just like super out of line. And I'm definitely one of the stacks he feels he can attack because of the way the chips are set up. I honestly think you can probably like shove here if you really want to, but you need like specific reads that someone is over exploiting the spot, and it does suck to bust out But he knows that. I mean, that's what he's trying to capitalize on. So I'm curious what I did here. Okay, so I just called. He checked and decided to fold. I think this flop spot is interesting. Based on a lot of the final table replays I've seen, people tend to over bluff this spot, like over c-bet the spot because they 3-bet and it's the final table and blah blah. So when he checks and I bet, I mean, I have the backdoor hearts. I would generally like to see a check from me here, although I guess I thought he was folding almost all the time. I think it's interesting because I think most people, when they 3-bet their air here, they c-bet like close to everything. And I'm not really repping anything by betting flop. It's not like I have, I hit this board a ton. So I guess my analysis should be, I mean, we kind of have to call pre because we'll get owned a lot. And again, I'm basing this off, a lot of like hole cards up footage I've seen. I think versus this 3-bet, we should really like peel like kings plus to just kind of force them to play versus us with like their, terribly constructed, you know, like silly ranges or whatever. And so I don't know. I think shoving is a bit much because he's 3-betting out of the big blind, but deep in these things, people are just like, honestly, a lot of them are just like kind of clicking buttons and just like pressuring with any two cards just because they think it's like a good spot or whatever. And often it is. And often if if he's 3-betting like 30% here and I'm folding ace jack one heart to like a standard c-bet, then that's like not like very good for my strategy. Like that makes it so that it's probably better to just jam pre or even like 4-bet pre or something. I don't know. I'm kind of like changing a lot of my theories on in-game play based off like some of the replays I've been studying recently, because people are just like doing like kind of nonsensical things. Like people are 3-betting like 6-7 offsuit here or something, which, I mean, again, I'm not saying it's a bad play to do that, but it's like highly exploitable. If you know someone's doing that strategy, then there's just so much dead money. And so I'm almost thinking like maybe you should only call the 3-bet here with hands like ace queen, ace king, or even maybe just ace queen, because you would like jam ace king, or maybe you would even jam ace queen too. It's kind of complex, but you would like jam ace king, call ace queen, ace jack's kind of the borderline hand, and then all these hands like ace 10 and queen jack off, and these hands that theoretically, if you're playing good poker, you would call in position. Maybe you should just like 4-bet bluff them, because the general tendency of MTT players is to over 3-bet this spot and then over c-bet it. And sometimes when you have queen jack offsuit and the board comes out like this, like what can you really do? Like, I mean, yeah, you can like bluff raise or float or whatever, but considering the pot is 144k and you only have 330, if he bets like 48k here, it's just gonna be like such an expensive proposition for you to like make a move or whatever. So maybe that's why people prefer to make plays pre-flop, because pre-flop I don't need to put in that much. Pre-flop I need to put in like 99 here or something. So I need to put in like say I make it like 119 here even, which is kind of like a largest 4-bet, then that would mean that I'm only adding around like 95,000 of my own chips, and there's already 105,000 in the pot. So maybe I'm just gonna start 4-betting more in spots like these, and not even to a shove. So a lot of times, like when I watch the footage of like a spot like this, and I'll see like someone turn like ace jack into a bluff here pre-flop, and I'm like, dude, you're like totally clicking buttons here. If you're turning like ace jack in position into like a 4-bet bluff, I'll see them make it like 99 here, and then I wonder what their plan is. I'm guessing they have to fold to a 4-bet, I mean to a 5-bet. So I'm wondering if they're just like clicking buttons, and maybe before I would have jammed ace jack here for like 35 bigs, but maybe it's just better to make it like, you know, 99 here or 109 or whatever you think is good, and then fold to a 4-bet, because first of all, their 4-bet range is going to have you crushed. But second, you know, it's cheaper than seeing a flop, because when you see a flop and someone's c-betting like 100% of the time, which a lot of these guys do, then you do have implied odds when you hit a hand or whatever, and you do have like floating odds. Like there are boards you can float for sure and stuff. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's interesting stuff. I'm just glad he didn't see that and I won the pot. Okay, I think threes are a fold again for the reasons we mentioned earlier, and we are going to lose probably the spot at the table here. So yeah, he's gonna min 3-bet, 4-bet. So he's gonna min 3-bet, call off ace queen, which is not good, and he just dusted the tournament. Now there's 7 left. So actually, sorry guys, it looks like we lost someone here as well. Okay, so we're gonna lose revenge over 2 hands. So at the bottom here, versus like these guys, this guy seems to be a fish. I don't think his responding range is going to change very much based on what I size it. So I opted to just make it like really small to kind of take initiative pre or whatever. And a lot of times these guys also have like auto action pressed or whatever, and so they just kind of like snap fold without any fight. So that's kind of my thinking there. This guy min raised pre-flop. I don't really have too many reads on him. I'm just gonna fold here. I think this sizing also looks pretty strong because he could shove flop with a lot of weak hands as well. Okay, so Revenge is gonna lose a lot of his stack here, where Rusi will shove with 5s. So the shove with 5s is questionable. It's like very thin, but people don't really realize that, especially being the shorty. But this is like a pretty thinnish shove. It might be plus EV. And then Revenge will get in ace jack, which is also kind of a questionable ISO. So these guys are both like, I don't know, I'm not sure if they know how thin their shoves here are, but those are pretty thin spots. And the Revenge will stick in the rest with king 4 suited, which is okay. And then I'm a Luxac will pick up a good pot there. So I'm a Luxac has some good momentum going. And then Hofcon will bust. So here we are with 7 players left. Okay, so I do go for it here with Jack 7 of hearts. I don't mind this 3-bet. I think it's a pretty good spot. I think my 3-bet should generally be a little bigger across the board, but we've already talked about this in the first video, and I like this spot. Okay, I think this is generally gonna be a clear fold. Looks like I open here. Yeah. Okay, so I think back in the day I was actually like way better at this kind of stuff, at just like kind of pushing the pace a bit, just kind of forcing things in. So yeah, Um, I mean, I don't even think this is a good open. I mean, you're playing against like, I mean, you're playing against Pro Gray. Yeah. I mean, I don't even think this is a good open. This isn't even like in the Nash chip EV or whatever. That Jack 7 suited 3-bet also isn't really in like any Nash, 3-betting range. It's just kind of like a pure exploit play. Um, so yeah, I mean, but they work like based off, I've been reviewing final tables more lately just to make sure I'm like equipped to handle, people and stuff, and it just works, in a lot of spots. So, yeah. Alright, so these guys are gonna get in here. Progray is gonna squeeze jam sixes. Again, this is a pretty questionable play. I mean, you can just go for it, I guess, if you really feel like it, but it's pretty questionable. Rusi is not that light here. In fact, you could almost argue that Rusi in this spot might actually be calling his entire opening range versus a squeeze. It's like not too far-fetched based off how he might be playing this spot. So yeah, I mean, I think this is impatient. You know, not too good of a squeeze here. Okay, so now we're six-handed. Good for me, more money for me. I would open here just because Rusi won that pot. I would open here as well. Stacks right now, it's Poker's leading two like 20-ish big blind stacks, and then me, Centipede, and Rusi. So generally want to play like kind of tightish here. Not get too crazy. Ace 4 off, get walked. Nice. Think this is an open. I think we can try and slip one in here too. Looks like Poker Fan is opening a ton and kind of running away with it a little bit. I'm fine with folding here pre. I think we might get pressured a little too much. Ace 6 off isn't like a super good hand or anything. I think there's a clear open. Folding's fine here. Centipede decides to make a really small 3-bet. Luxac's been opening a fair bit. It is kind of an interesting spot pre if Centipede folded. I think as play this is just a clear fold. But if he hadn't folded, then I guess calling is better than jamming if you give him some credit. But yeah, I guess Luxac's just opening light. I think this is a good spot to open. And I'll just fold to this limp re-raise. This guy's repping. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have like the top of my range. No, I'll just jam, whatever. I'll just be a fish and jam because I have queens. He's definitely repping aces with his sizing though. We will see, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should just trust our instincts in spots like that. Except if we're going to suck out, I guess. He got us good though. Alright. So, there's like a small 3-bet here from Poker GR. This is effective sizing versus people who are min raising and are short. So, but I don't think make it range is like very weak here or anything. So your mileage might vary in trying to target that spot. I would like to see a 3-bet here. This guy seems to be pretty active. centipede. So yeah. But I mean, it's interesting how you see me like three betting a spot like Jack 7 suited and then passing with something like Ace 4 suited. I think it's interesting. I open Ace Queen, fold. So maybe Poker GR had a better hand than Ace Jack when he three bet me. I don't know. He doesn't seem to be messing around too much. Alright, we have Jacks. Three bet call. Seems fine. Poker GR seems to be attacking me and Roosie's blinds, which is a good strategy considering, we are two of the players with the most to lose. I think there's an open on the button. Good. And these guys are going to play a pot where GR three bets out of the big blind. Roosie decides to stick in. So in this exchange, Roosie will be putting in 500 to win 134. So you need a pretty good, idea that someone's being like pretty out of line here to be sticking it in too wide here. And again here, I mean, with certain hands, I mean, we don't know what Roosie's hand is yet, quite yet. But with certain hands, you could argue that, um, you should be sticking it in here. I mean, you should be four betting to like, 128 and folding. So we'll see exactly what the hand was though. Oh wow. Okay, so I like Roosie's play a lot, and Poker GR's call is like terrible. I think when you three bet from the big blind here and someone jams, given ICM and how much of your stack this is, I think this is a clear fold. You could five bet jam over a four bet if you want. There's a close spot. I know this is a Nash get in with the King 10 suited. Just depends on how Lasagna is playing. This is kind of a thin spot, but I mean, I don't know. I have 6 big blinds, so I'll stick it in. It's funny. ProGray 69 is actually at this table with me. He just busted in the top of this. Okay, so yeah, I think this call is probably setting a lot of money on fire. You need a pretty damn good read on someone to think that they're like just completely spazzing out here. It looks like my table ninja key to cycle to first inline table has gotten messed up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I led this flop in the 320, and then Dronsky raised me, and I'm re-raising. I think I should have just called here. I think my reasoning here is I actually think Dronsky has a lot of top two pairs and flushes here when he raises, because he doesn't really raise like, see, that's the thing about this play here. Like, we were both kind of dumb in a way, and I'm just gonna mark this hand to review it later. I'll also, I guess, mark final table spots too. And that short stack got it in with 7-10 offsuit there, so that was really good, because it means my play was fine. I'm not sure what the action is. I guess it went limp limp, so I'll just check raise. So I mean, we were both being kind of clowns in that hand, I would say. I don't think he should really raise too often here. It just looks like way too strong. And then I don't think I should really click it too often either. I should probably just call and let him barrel. But I thought his range was very squarely on flushes and king queen and two pairs and stuff. But I don't know. There's an argument that he should just fold. Um, there's an argument that he should just fold like all the two pairs when I click it back on him like this. So I guess I just coolered him pretty roughly. I'm not really a fan of how I played that hand. I'm not really a fan of his. I mean, his flop raise is okay, I guess. It's a little big though. I think he kind of let us know what he had, kind of. So yeah. So I guess if you have like an exploitative read that someone like has it, you know, then you can just kind of do that, so that bad cards don't roll off or whatever. But yeah, that was a pretty fortunate spot for us. All right, so we're at 31 minutes. I do want to try and pick up the pace here. So anyways, yeah, that was pretty bad, but we got pretty lucky to ladder there. I think these are all clear folds. I think this is just a clear shove. And poker fan 4 bets versus centipede and folds. 5-6 is a fold, isn't open. Again, this is a pretty good spot. The 3 bet. So yeah. Open ace queen. You know, generally when you're in like the middle positions of a tournament, you should generally open like blocker-ish hands, just so that your ranges can't be attacked too much. I mean, this is close. You can definitely argue for a call when you have like, you know, almost 40 bigs here. Would have missed flop though. Okay, I like raising here. I'm a luck sack, gonna jam cutoff. Gonna guess his ranges are gonna be in sync. That is not in sync. That is not a good open. I mean, that is not a good open shove. So that's not very like plus EV or anything. I think you shouldn't play your hand that way. And now we're gonna be four-handed with a really tight player and a small blind. I'm gonna assume he's gonna be playing like pretty weak and stuff. So yeah, there's a jam. Looks good. Fold queen 5. You could open this. I don't mind just folding. It's not too playable. Centipede is going to lose a huge pot here, which is going to up our EV tremendously. We'll see how they do it. So poker GR, open slightly over minimum. Bet. Bet. Oh wow. Okay. First of all, I think if you're gonna check shove here, you should just probably just check shove all in. Although I guess people do value their tournament lives here, so this is fine as an exploit. I think centipede. I mean, you gotta fold everything here. Like, you know, I mean, this is just like an exploitative play or whatever, but you should be folding like, I think flushes are the borderline hands, and then maybe like king queen holding a heart are hands you might want to think about calling. I think even then, maybe you could even argue that flushes are a fold, given the way PokerFan GR played this hand. So those are the ranges I think you should be calling this river check raise with. We'll see what they actually had. Yeah, so I mean, top 2 is just like not blocking anything. Is just like, no, I don't think that's a very good call. I would never call in that spot with top 2. I don't think. It's just such a like transparent value line, I feel like. And yeah, I think not 3-betting pre here is fine, given how strong your hand is and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can just 3-bet call. I mean, 3-bet for value pre or something. Who knows? We're getting pretty close to the money, I guess, of this 109, but we don't have very many chips. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna put us in a really good position because now we're in second. There's a clear shove. I just had to reshove on centipede here, so this is what I guess happens when you're not mindful of your ranges. I like that reshove. It's good. Alright, poker fan jams, king 2 suited, wins. And I think at this point we deal. Maybe make it rain. Makes comeback. This is a sick raise call. Oh, actually, we might have just made a deal heads up. I don't even remember. This was a pretty absurd raise call. I mean, it's like, yeah, I think we dealt three-handed or something, and then we're gonna get to heads up. So yeah, I mean, I think some of the things I want to take away from this are, you need a lot of heart for final tables, like especially the way people try and play in these things. Like you need a lot of like just like you need to expand your ranges a lot, and you need to kind of like get in people's chests or whatever. And you know, I like the way I played a lot of these hands. Like I like the way you know I I like the way I played a lot of these hands. I like the 3-bet with the um Jack 7 suited. I wish I had pushed it even more and 3-bet like a lot of those suited ace combinations. I like my opens at the final table. I mean, I think I played a good open strategy of like generally pretty tight. I wish I had 3-bet, just a little more though. Um, and yeah. So I mean, we're about to get into this interesting spot versus crown up guy. Um, I don't really think he's bluffing like this. I mean, I guess I'll call because I'm at the top of my range. I really don't think he's bluffing like this. I think I should be folding here. But I'll call and close this video up, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, nice play by him. I think my range is pretty face up there. I think I should be folding. If not turn, then river. I'll run that one by my coach. That was kind of an interesting hand, I guess. I don't know. I wish I had kind of followed my instinct. I mean, this is a play that I'm only really calling against him, and I think he knows that too, because he's basically like a really top tier, elite regular. And I think, you can justify calling turn because of, enough draws or whatever. But I just think like pre-ante and stuff, people just aren't, like bluffing river like this. I think my range is pretty face up as like, some kind of queen. And yeah, I think that was pretty much a bad call. I'm not too happy with that call. So yeah, I mean overall, the final table review, I think it was kind of close to how I play right now, similarly, and I think yeah, I mean you need a lot of heart to attack people. Like lately, I've been working on my in game more and just like looking over, how like good players are playing final tables and stuff, and I'm looking at how I'm playing final tables, and I think a lot of times like I kind of stick to my default kind of game plan, which is a good game plan, but then it can get a little askew when people are you know like over 3-betting and over c-betting and spots like that, so you just want to kind of keep your eyes open for that. But I think this review was kind of interesting because a lot of it was just like running really good too. Like I think I just ran really good in a lot of spots. Like from six-handed down, we ran really good to have like all these guys like bust into each other and us just like remaining steady as like second place. Even though we might not even have played like sharply enough to be second place, it just kind of shows you like the luck of tournaments and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. This two-parter. It's been Yu-Gi-Oh Pro for deucescrack.com. Thanks for watching, guys.